All right, let's talk about yoga. How much are you doing yoga? How often are you doing yoga? So I was thinking the other day, because I've been practicing a lot of yoga, and this is great for those of you that are also in Swolenormous X. So you're those of you that are using our yoga studio inside Swolenormous X. You're doing the Swole and Sevens. You're doing the Swolga classes. You're doing the level 1, level 2, Yin yoga, block classes, Vinyasa, Ashtanga. Those of you that are in Swolenormous X, this applies to you as well. And also those of you that are outside X that aren't members yet and you are practicing yoga on your own. Maybe you're doing YouTube videos. Maybe you're doing stuff at your local gym or local yoga studio. There are different types of yoga. I'm not going to get into the spiritual side. I don't know all of them on the top of my head. There's different limbs of yoga. There's different styles. So there's yin, there's ashtanga, there's vinyasa, there's this, that, and the other. And there's the chakras. And there's that kind of like, okay, the philosophy behind it and the spiritual aspects. All well and good if you want to believe in that. But let's talk about the physical and like the immediate physical and psychological benefits to yoga, and actually the physical application of some of these styles of yoga, because there are some great complementary styles of yoga, pretty much all of them, but with program design and scheduling that are optimal for you to partner up with your resistance training. So everyone that watches this podcast and everyone that's probably into fitness, really in general, is lifting weights. Most, I would say, well over 90% of people that are in fitness, that are doing fitness things, you're lifting weights to some extent. You're doing some type of resistance, whether it's body weight, whether it's a group exercise class where you're picking up pink dumbbells, whether you're going to the gym and slamming some fucking steel and you're doing powerlifting. Most people are lifting weights with whatever type of cardio, whatever style, whether it's HIIT training, doesn't matter. You're lifting weights to some degree, okay? Yoga helps balance out that force, that tension, that stress. So I've said many times, your body is an adaptation machine. Your body's an adaptation machine. Your body will adapt to the environment you put it in. So if you go to the gym and you create this resistance environment where you're trying to overcome that external force on a regular basis, whether it's 4, 5, 6 days a week, whatever your split is, over time, if you progressively overload your body, over time, you are going to build muscle. Your body is going to adapt to that constant tension, that constant stress that's always on it. Your body doesn't want to be under stress. Your body doesn't want to be exposed to this shit. But if you're forcing it to, in other words, you're going to the gym and you're putting it in this environment where there's fucking weights pushing down and your body's like, no, get off me. And you're like, do it again. Your body's like, no, get off me. And you're like, do it again. And you're like, no, get off me. Your body's like, do it again, y'all. And you're like, no, get off me. And you're just fucking, oh my God, fucking, oh my God. After a while, your body's going to say, fuck this. This is really hard. It's going to adapt to getting that fucking weight off your chest. And for those of you that are listening, I was demonstrating a bench press. That's all you're doing. You're voluntarily subjecting your body to trying to not die. Your body's like, oh, fuck this, get this off me. You're like, no, let's do another rep. Your body's like, oh no, fuck, get this off me. And if you do that enough, your body is going to adapt and realize, shit, I need to adapt to this situation. It's like the weather, warm climate. Your body is literally adapting to get better at getting that fucking bar off your chest. Because if it doesn't, guess what? You're going to be stuck there or get hurt or die or something like that. It's a defense mechanism. That's what adaptation is. It's a negative feedback system. That being the case, we need to balance out that tension, because even after a workout, your body's just went through a lot of resistance. So your body is overcoming tension, overcoming external force for an hour and a half, maybe a couple times a week, several times a week. So over time, you're just at that built-in, that internal tension that just gets built up, kind of gets trapped. And I'm not using any scientific terms right now, but you get muscle fibers that kind of get like balled up that don't fully lengthen afterwards. You got a lot of stuff, a lot of cells, a lot of shit going on inside, and things just don't go back to normal after a workout. There's trauma, there's micro tears, there's inflammation, there's fluids that get stuck, and byproducts of exercise and adhesions and all these different things that are even over my pay grade, like all these different things like on a real chemical molecular basis that your body has to deal with. You don't notice it because it's too small. You don't feel it. You just feel, ow, that hurts. You don't know all the mechanisms, nor do you have to. It's an amazing machine, your body. Your body just does it. It'll fix it. But we can help it. We can help your body get fixed. We can help the recovery. We can aid the recovery by making sure that the body learns how to repair and understands that, okay, we're going to repair, but with this resting length. We're going to repair with this ability to move. We're going to repair, blah, blah, blah. That's where yoga comes in terms of complementing the strength training. Now, I know there's some yogis out there that probably don't believe in weights. Like, no, yoga's all you need. I don't believe that weights are all you need. Can you live and survive just doing yoga all the time? Sure. Can you live and survive just doing weights? Sure. It depends on the person, the application, what you want. I think there's a wonderful balance between both that will complement each other and keep you fucking healthy. It's going to keep you locked in. It's going to keep you locked in and consistent. That's one of the biggest and most important things about yoga. It's going to help you stay consistent for your weight training, help mitigate that high risk with injury because it's going to help you improve and maintain your mobility. It's going to help with your muscle activation. It's going to help with everything psychologically and physically. Now, there's a certain type of yoga that's really great to complement resistance training. We have this in we have this in big time inside Swole X, and we're adding new classes all the time. That's called Yin yoga. You might have heard, Raja yoga. There's different types of different ways to call it, but it's a very passive, connective tissue type yoga where you're not engaging muscles. You're allowing gravity to just get deep into the fascial connective tissue. One of the issues with yin yoga, if you're very, very tight, it's very hard to get into some of these positions. Now, I love yin yoga. I think it's fantastic. I love it when it's hot, like really hot. I think it's a great complement to strength training. But I notice personally that I get, in many ways, more benefit from doing moving yoga. And what I mean by moving yoga, when I do a vinyasa class or I do just a regular yoga class where I'm activating muscle in addition to passively lengthening and inhibiting muscles. I like a blend. There's great yang to yin classes. There's great fire and ice classes where you're doing like a certain portion at the beginning, you're doing, more muscle engagement. And then at the end, you follow up with very passive stretching. Because if you're just holding a stretch and you're laying over your arm, you'll get numb. You'll feel that release. It'll be great. But you come out, you're like, oh, but you're just inhibiting. You're not strengthening or activating everything. So that's only one part of the puzzle. You're inhibiting some tight muscles. You are shutting down certain and lengthening, and you're creating a lot more plastic change. In other words, the muscle and the ligaments and tendons are more likely to maintain a longer resting length after doing longer holds, 5, 6, 7 minutes plus. But it's really important to have that activation. And that's where corrective exercise comes in. That's one of the benefits of yoga, that you're doing strengthening. You're strengthening your glutes, and you're also lengthening your hip flexors. So it's one thing just to stretch. You could do a great stretch where you just hold it for a long time and it's just lengthening your hip flexors. Great. What about strengthening your glutes? Because that hip flexor is going to get right up and just tight right back again. It's like getting a massage and you feel great for a day or two or one day, and then your neck locks up again. It's because you're just inhibiting and then it's coming right back because you're not solving the problem. So the way that yoga is so effective, especially when you're doing a full flow, whether it's vinyasa or ashtanga or different types where you're doing actual activation, not just going passive with gravity, you are strengthening in addition to your inhibition. You're actively and you're more dynamic through this range of motion. You're creating more, and this is my experience, you're creating more of a permanent change because you are complementing both sides of what needs to happen around that joint. You're not just inhibiting, you're not just lengthening. You're lengthening muscles and ligaments and tendons that need to be lengthened, but at the same time, on the complementary side of that joint, for whatever movement you're doing, whether it's flexion, extension, rotation, you are also strengthening. So you're strengthening and lengthening. And that's one of the best approaches to yoga that I've found personally, because when I just do yin, a lot of positions, I'm just too tight. A lot of positions, I'm just too tight to get into it. I'm just too tight to fold into it. And I just don't feel like I'm getting as much out of it. I feel like I get more out of a yoga class if I do both, if I do the resistance or more of an active yoga class and then do yin, or I just do an active yoga class on its own. The challenge is to make sure that you're not overdoing it, because if you're engaging muscles and you're doing hardcore power yoga, that's going to wear you down. That's going to affect your recovery for your strength training. So it's important to schedule this properly. And, if you're doing 2 classes a day, it's really good to offset a resistance training class with a yin style or a lower intensity, a gentle flow, things like that will help you recover, not wear you down more. So just keep that in mind when you're scheduling or trying a yoga class or organizing your program, that you're not just doing more to do more. You want more Daily Swole podcast? I fucking know you do. Go subscribe to the Daily Swole podcast on YouTube and get slapped with that knowledge cock every single day.